Humanity has always wanted to know what happens after death. In the 19th century, this answer was spiritualism, a movement that promised communication with the dead. But what was it really about? Magic? Self-deception? Mass psychology? Or a cleverly staged theater? Today, I want to explore why spiritualism became so popular, who made it a fashion, and how some mediums turned people's trust into money, fame, and power. In the second half of the 19th century, spiritualism became so popular that it was discussed in universities, scientific societies, and even in parliaments. It is said that in late 19th century Paris, there was a woman who was feared by even the most confident skeptics. Her name was Madame Lucette. She was a medium who was visited by aristocrats, generals, and even writers. Her salons were located in a narrow alley in Montmartre, where the windows were always covered and the doors were kept closed, even during the day. Her sessions were filled with experiences that defied description. When the guests sat down at the round table, the candles began to flicker, and there was a subtle tremor in the air, as if someone invisible had passed by. The most amazing thing is her hand from the mist phenomenon. Witnesses claimed that a transparent white hand appeared above the table, as if made of steam, and touched the shoulder of the person asking the spirit a question. Some felt a cold sensation, while others felt a slight pressure, similar to a human touch. A doctor from London was even present at one of the sessions. He swore that he saw a hand, as if made of misty light, resting on his palm. And he could feel it, the fingers, the joints, and the weight. "It can't be explained by physiology," he later wrote in his diary. But the strangest thing happened one autumn. A woman asked Lucette, "My brother died in the war. Is he here?" And in the next second, the candle went out. And when it flared up again, a man's shadow appeared on the wall. A tall silhouette, as clear as if it were alive. After that night, rumors about her spread all over Paris. She was called the woman who could summon any spirit, and no one seemed to be able to explain her phenomena. Let's find out how she managed to do this. Madame Lucette was real. Her real name was Eloise Robert, and years later, her secrets were revealed. The hand from the fog, how it was actually made a real trick based on 19th century techniques. A mask made of gauze soaked in phosphorus ointment was used. A flexible wire was sewn inside to maintain the shape of the fingers. An assistant sat behind a curtain, holding the structure on a long black stick. In the dim light, the gauze glowed, creating the effect of a foggy hand. The shadow of a lost brother. The trick was used by many mediums. In front of the lamp placed a human silhouette, cut out of thick cardboard. The silhouette was fixed on a hinge. When the candle was lit, it moved smoothly, creating the impression of a living shadow. Voices from the dark. Lucette used a hidden acoustic pipe, a speaking horn, connected through the wall to the room where the assistant was sitting. The whisper was run through the pipe and sounded as if it came from the air. How was she exposed? One day, the detective noticed. At the door, there was a small gap through which a shadow could be seen. This was an assistant. Also, after they learned that the walls of the salon were double, under the floor, voids allowing assistants to walk. On the oil lamp, traces of phosphorus powder. A few months later, the exposure was in the press. The story of Madame Lucette is not just a tale of a talented con artist. It is a story about how desperately people want to believe in a miracle, and how easily, in the darkness, the human imagination turns a trick into a supernatural phenomenon. Madame Lucette used all the popular tricks, but I also want to add a type of fraud that was common at the time. Spiritual photographers claimed, "We can photograph ghosts and the souls of the dead." It sounds crazy, but hundreds and then thousands of people came to the studios to see the shadow of a dead mother or a departed husband beside them. But who was leading this movement? The most famous spiritual photographer was William Mamler, an ordinary jeweler who once accidentally took a double photo. The photo showed him and another transparent figure. He realized that this could be a business opportunity. People who had lost their loved ones began to flock to Mamler. He photographed them in his studio and then showed them a photograph with a spirit appearing next to it. After Mamler, spiritual photography spread all over the world. In England, Frederick Hudson became famous for his smoky and foggy spirits. His ghosts looked like they were covered with gauze or lace because, in reality, they were covered with gauze. He applied images to glass negatives in advance and then applied them to his clients' photos. Today, these photographs look naive, but in the 19th century, they were incredibly convincing. Here are the main techniques used by spiritual photographers. 1. Double exposure, 2 photographs on the same plate. 2. Silhouettes printed in advance, they were barely developed to look like a haze. 3. Long exposure, a person quickly leaves the frame and becomes a ghost. 4. Secret actors. Yes, this was a thing. All of this was presented as proof of life after death. The families of the 19th century mediums helped to conduct rituals and earned money from it. Usually, these were family duos or entire clans, where everyone had their own role. The head of the family was the organizer and the master of negotiations. The main medium was often the most impressionable or acting gifted figure. Most often, girls between 15 and 20 years old. Children created mysterious effects: knocks, shadows, rustling. Mothers accepted payment, sold amulets, and taught spiritual contact. These families worked as a full-fledged troupe of illusionists. The mediums' families were not just contactees, but real entrepreneurs. 1. Selling tickets for séances. The price depended on the spirit level. The stronger, the more expensive. In big cities, the price could reach a month's salary of a worker. 2. Private paid calls of spirit of a relative. This was their most profitable service. People came to mediums to talk to the dead for a lot of money. 3. Sale of talismans and protective items. The family offered amulets against evil spirits, letters from the dead, blessed candles, spiritual boards. The cost is a penny, the profit is huge. 4. Donations. After the session, the mediums hinted that the spirit asks to leave an offering. People were happy to pay. A medium family in a major city could earn $3,000 to $7,500 for a single public session, $1,000 to $3,000 per week for private sessions, several $100s from amulets and donations. This is significantly higher than the average salary for a worker at the time, making them true entrepreneurs. Over time, mediums suffered from mental disorders. Sessions could last for several hours, with frequent performances and tours. Some mediums complained of headaches, insomnia, anxiety, and exhaustion due to constant stress. This was the price they paid for their wealth and popularity. However, this era was still shrouded in mystique, at least on the surface. The stories continue to amaze and have given rise to a new field in the world of illusionists.